Jake Miller wiped the sweat from his face as he sat in his old hover taxi. The year was 2157, and the city of Neo Angeles stretched out below him like a giant metal forest. Tall buildings reached up to touch the clouds, and flying cars moved, between them like busy insects. His taxi was not like the new ones. It made strange noises and shook when he turned corners. But it was his, and it helped him earn money to live. The sun was going down, painting the sky orange and red. Jake had been driving for 12 hours straight. His back hurt, and his eyes felt tired. He needed to make more money today. His little sister Lisa was sick, and the doctors cost too much. Every credit he earned went to her medicine and treatments. Jake was 28 years old and had once been a soldier. He had fought against alien raiders who attacked human colonies in space. Those were hard times, but at least he had friends then. Now he was alone, driving his taxi through the rich parts of the city where people had more money than they knew what to do with. He was thinking about going home when he saw something strange. On one of the sky bridges that connected the tall buildings, a young woman was lying on the ground. People walked past her like she was not there. Some looked at her and shook their heads. Others crossed to the other side of the bridge. Jake slowed his taxi and looked closer. The woman had long brown hair and wore simple clothes, a plain blue shirt and dark pants. She looked young, maybe in her early 20s. She was not moving. Most taxi drivers would have kept going. It was not their business. The police would handle it eventually. But something inside Jake would not let him drive away. Maybe it was because he remembered his sister lying in a hospital bed, looking small and helpless. He pulled his taxi over to the landing pad near the bridge. The other drivers behind him made angry sounds and flew around him. Jake did not care. He got out of his taxi and walked quickly to where the woman lay. Up close, he could see she was breathing, but her skin was very pale. Her eyes were closed, and she felt cold when he touched her arm. Jake looked around at the people walking by. "Hey," he called to a man in an expensive suit. "This woman needs help. Should we call for medical aid?" The man looked at Jake like he was stupid. "She is. Probably just another drug user. Leave her alone or she might rob you." He walked away quickly. Jake felt angry. How could people be so cold? He knelt down next to the woman and gently shook her shoulder. "Miss? Miss, can you hear me?" She made a soft sound but did not open her eyes. Jake could see she was not a drug user. Her clothes were clean and she smelled like flowers, not chemicals. Something was really wrong with her. Without thinking more about it, Jake picked her up. She was lighter than he expected. He carried her back to his taxi and laid her carefully in the back seat. Then he started the engine and flew as fast as his old taxi could go toward the nearest medical center. The medical center was in the middle part of the city, not the fancy area where he found her. It was the kind of place where poor people went when they were sick. The doctors there were good, but they did not have the expensive equipment that rich people used. Jake carried the woman inside. The nurse at the front desk looked tired. "What happened to her?" the nurse asked. "I found her on a sky bridge. She was unconscious. I think she fainted." The nurse looked at Jake with surprise. Most people did not bring strangers to the hospital, especially not strangers from the upper city. "Are you family?" "No. I just found her. She needs help." They took the woman into a treatment room. Jake sat in the waiting area, wondering why he had gotten involved. He could not afford to waste time or money, but something about the woman made him want to help her. After an hour, a doctor came out. He was an older man with kind eyes. "She is going to be okay," the doctor said. She had not eaten in a long time and she was very tired. "We gave her some fluids and nutrients. She should wake up soon." "Good," Jake said, feeling relieved. "How much will it cost?" The doctor looked surprised. "You are paying for her treatment?" "Yes, she does not have anyone else. It will be 200 credits. Jake felt his heart sink. That was almost all the money he had earned today, but he paid it anyway. He could not leave her with a medical bill when she woke up. 20 minutes later, the nurse came to get him. "She is awake now. She wants to see the person who helped her." Jake followed the nurse into the treatment room. The woman was sitting up in bed, looking much better. Her cheeks had color now and her eyes were bright green. She was beautiful, Jake realized. Very beautiful. You saved me, she said softly. Her voice was gentle and educated. The nurse told me you found me and brought me here. Jake felt embarrassed. It was nothing, anyone would have done the same thing. No, she said, shaking her head. I was lying there for a long time. Many people saw me, but you were the only one who stopped to help. What is your name? Jake asked. The woman paused for a moment like she was thinking. Anna, she said finally. Anna Smith. I am Jake Miller. Are you feeling better now? Much better, thanks to you. I cannot believe you paid for my treatment too. How can I repay you? Jake shook his head. You do not need to repay me. Just take care of yourself. Do you have somewhere to go? Someone to call? Anna looked away. I had a fight with my family. I left home and was walking around the city. I guess I forgot to eat. Where do you live? I can drive you home in my taxi. I do not want to go home yet. Could you take me to Riverside District? I have a friend there. Jake knew Riverside District. It was a middle-class area. Not rich, but not poor either. Sure. But are you strong enough to travel? I feel fine now. Anna stood up carefully. She was steadier on her feet. They left the medical center together. Anna looked around at Jake's old taxi with curiosity, not disgust like most rich people would. She got in the front seat next to him. As they flew through the city, Anna asked Jake questions about his life. She seemed really interested in his answers. She asked about his time as a soldier, about driving the taxi, about his dreams for the future. Jake found himself talking more than he usually did. There was something about Anna that made him feel comfortable. When they reached Riverside District, Anna asked him to stop at a corner. This is perfect, she said. Thank you for everything. Jake Miller, you are a good man. She handed him a small roll of credits. This is for the taxi ride and for your kindness. Jake looked at the money. It was exactly 200 credits, the same amount he had paid for her medical treatment. Anna, you do not have to. But when he looked up, she was already walking away, disappearing into the crowd of people on the street. Jake sat in his taxi for a moment watching her go. He had never met anyone like Anna Smith. Something about her was different, special. He hoped he would see her again. 3 days later, Jake was driving his taxi through the busy streets when his radio made a beeping sound. Someone wanted a ride. He pressed the button to answer. Jake's taxi service. Where do you need to go? Hello, Jake. This is Anna. Anna Smith. Do you remember me? Jake smiled. He had been thinking about the woman with green eyes every day since he met her. Of course I remember you. Are you feeling better? Much better. I was wondering if you could pick me up. I need to go across the city. Sure. Where are you? Anna gave him an address in the upper city not far from where he had found her. Jake flew his taxi there quickly. He was excited to see her again, though he did not understand why. When he arrived, Anna was waiting on the street corner. She wore different clothes today, a simple red dress and flat shoes. She looked beautiful, but also a little nervous. She got into the front seat again. Where would you like to go? Jake asked. Sunset Park, please. And Jake? Could we take the long way? I like talking to you. Jake felt happy hearing that. Most customers just wanted to get where they were going as fast as possible. Of course. What would you like to talk about? As they flew through the city, Anna asked Jake more questions about his life as a soldier. She wanted to know about the alien raiders he had fought. They were called Zephyrians, Jake explained. They had ships that were faster than ours and weapons that could cut through our armor like it was paper. But they made one mistake. They thought humans would give up easily. What happened? Anna asked, leaning forward with interest. We did not give up. Even when they destroyed our bases, we kept fighting. We learned how their ships worked and found ways to beat them. Humans are good at adapting. We may not be the strongest or the smartest species in the galaxy, but we never quit. Anna listened carefully to every word. You sound proud to be human? I am. We have our problems, but when things get really bad, humans always find a way to survive and fight back. They talked until they reached Sunset Park. Anna paid him again, giving him more money than the ride cost. Anna, you are paying me too much. She smiled. You saved my life. I can never pay you enough for that. The next week, Anna called for rides 3 more times. Each time she asked Jake to take the long way, and they talked about different things. Jake told her about his sister Lisa, who was getting sicker. Anna told him about her family problems, though she never gave details. My father wants to control everything I do, Anna said during one ride. He thinks he knows what is best for everyone, but he does not understand that people should be free to make their own choices. That sounds hard, Jake said. Family can be complicated. What about your parents? They died when I was 21. That is why I take care of Lisa now. She is only 16, but she is braver than most adults I know. Anna was quiet for a moment. You are a good brother, Jake. After 2 weeks of regular rides, something strange happened. Jake got a call from the hospital where Lisa was being treated. Mr. Miller? This is Dr. White from Central Medical. I have wonderful news about your sister. Jake felt scared. Doctors usually only called with bad news. What is it? Lisa has been selected for our new experimental treatment program. All her medical costs will be covered and she will get the best care available. It is a medical lottery program funded by anonymous donors. Jake could not believe it. Are you sure? Lisa Miller, age 16? Yes, we are sure. The treatment starts tomorrow. Your sister is going to get much better. Jake was so happy he almost cried. He called Anna right away to tell her the good news. That is wonderful, Jake, Anna said. She sounded truly happy for him. You must be so relieved. I am. I was so worried about how to pay for her treatments. Now she will get the best doctors in the city. She deserves it. And so do you. But as the days went by, Jake started to notice strange things about Anna. Her hands were too soft for someone who worked hard. Her teeth were perfectly straight and white, like rich people had. She knew about expensive restaurants and shops, but always said she had heard about them from friends. One day, Anna mentioned a restaurant called Sky Garden. I heard they have the best food in the city, she said. Jake laughed. Anna, Sky Garden costs more for one meal than I make in a month. How do you know about places like that? Anna looked uncomfortable. I used to work for wealthy people, before my family problems. Jake accepted her explanation, but he wondered why someone who used to work for rich people was living in Riverside District and taking taxis everywhere. During their conversations, Anna always wanted to hear Jake's war stories. She was especially interested when he talked about human military tactics. The Zephyrians expected us to fight like they did, Jake explained one day. They had rules about how battles should work, but humans do not follow alien rules. We did things they never expected. Like what? We pretended to retreat, then attacked from behind. We used their own weapons against them. One time my unit captured a Zephyrian ship and used it to attack their base. They did not expect humans to be so creative. Anna smiled. Humans are full of surprises. Exactly, that is our strength. We do not think like other species. What seems impossible to them is just another challenge to us. Jake noticed that Anna always listened very carefully to these stories, like she was memorizing every detail. One evening, Anna asked Jake to take her to the government district. As they flew over the city, she pointed to a large building with many lights. Do you know what that building is? She asked. That is Carter Industries headquarters. Richard Carter owns it. He is one of the richest men on Earth. Anna stared at the building for a long time. What do you think of him? Jake shrugged. I do not think about rich people much. They live in a different world than us. Though I heard some soldiers say Carter has been acting strange lately, making deals with off-world companies. What kind of deals? I do not know the details, just rumors. Some people think he cares more about money than about Earth's security. Anna was very quiet for the rest of the ride. The next day, Jake was watching the news while eating lunch. A story came on about Carter Industries, and Jake saw something that made him choke on his food. On the screen was Richard Carter, standing next to his daughter at some fancy party. The daughter had long brown hair and bright green eyes. She wore an expensive dress, but her face was the same face Jake knew very well. The reporter said, "Amy Carter, daughter of tech mogul Richard Carter, rarely appears in public." Jake stared at the screen. Amy Carter. Not Anna Smith. The woman he had been driving around the city, the woman he had saved, the woman he was starting to care about. She was one of the richest people on earth. Jake felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. Why had she lied to him? Was this all some kind of game to her? Did rich people think it was fun to pretend to be normal and play with poor taxi drivers? He turned off the news and sat in his apartment, feeling angry and hurt. Everything made sense now. Her soft hands, her perfect teeth, her knowledge of expensive places. Even Lisa's medical treatment. It was not a lottery. Amy Carter had paid for it. Jake did not know what to think or feel. Part of him was grateful that Lisa was getting better. But another part of him felt like a fool. He had thought Anna, Amy, really cared about him. Now he wondered if she was just having fun with a poor taxi driver who did not know any better. His radio beeped. Someone wanted a taxi ride. "Jake's taxi service," he said, his voice flat. "Hello, Jake. This is Anna. Could you pick me up?" Jake stared at the radio. What should he say? Should he tell her he knew who she really was? Should he hang up and never see her again? "Jake, are you there?" "Yes," he said finally. "I am here. Where do you want to go?" "The same place as always. And Jake? We need to talk." Jake drove his taxi to the pickup location with his hands shaking. He was angry, hurt, and confused all at the same time. Amy Carter was waiting on the corner wearing her simple clothes again. She looked nervous when she got into the taxi. "Hello, Jake," she said quietly. Jake did not answer. He started flying toward Riverside District where he always dropped her off. The silence in the taxi felt heavy and uncomfortable. "Jake, is something wrong? You seem upset." Jake pulled his taxi over to a landing pad on top of a tall building. He turned off the engine and looked at Amy with angry eyes. "Anna Smith," he said. "That is what you told me your name was." Amy's face went pale. "Jake, I can explain." "Amy Carter," Jake continued. "Daughter of Richard Carter, the richest man on earth. That is your real name, is it not?" Amy looked down at her hands. "Yes. So everything you told me was a lie. Your family problems, living in Riverside District, working for wealthy people, all lies." "Not everything was a lie," Amy said desperately. "My feelings for you are real. The way I feel when we talk, when we spend time together, that is all real." Jake laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "Your feelings? You mean the fun you had playing pretend with a poor taxi driver? Was this some kind of game for you?" "No, Jake, please listen to me. And my sister's medical treatment. That was not a lottery, was it? You paid for it." Amy nodded slowly. "Yes, I did. But I wanted to help." "You wanted to help?" Jake's voice got louder. "You felt sorry for the poor taxi driver and his sick sister. You thought you would play charity and make yourself feel better?" "That is not how it was," Amy said, tears starting to form in her eyes. "I cared about you, I still do. When you told me about Lisa, I wanted to help because..." "Because what? Because you are so much better than us? Because you have so much money you can just fix other people's problems?" Amy wiped her eyes. "Because you are the kindest person I have ever met. Because you saved me when no one else would. Because for the first time in my life, someone cared about me for who I am. Not for my father's money." "But you never gave me that choice," Jake said. "You lied to me from the beginning. You made me look like a fool." "I was scared," Amy said. "Every person who knows who I really am only wants something from me. Money, connections, favors from my father. You were the first person who was kind to me just because you are a good person. I did not want that to change." Jake shook his head. "So you decided to lie instead. You decided I was too stupid or too poor to handle the truth. That is not what I thought. What did you think? That you could play house with the taxi driver for a few weeks and then go back to your real life? Did you laugh about it with your rich friends? Amy looked hurt. I do not have friends. I spend most of my time alone in my father's house, surrounded by people who work for him. You are the only real friend I have had in years. Friend? Jake felt even angrier. Friends do not lie to each other. Friends trust each other with the truth. They sat in silence for a moment. Amy was crying now, but Jake felt too hurt to care. Jake, please let me explain everything. There are things happening that you do not understand. Important things. What things? Amy looked around nervously like she thought someone might be listening. My father is planning something terrible. Something that will hurt millions of people, including you. Jake stared at her. What are you talking about? I cannot tell you here. It is not safe. But Jake, I need your help. Earth needs your help. Now you need my help? Jake started the taxi engine again. A few minutes ago I was just a poor taxi driver you lied to. Now suddenly you need me to save the Earth? Jake, please. No. Jake began flying toward Riverside District. I do not want to hear any more lies. I do not want to be part of whatever game you are playing. When they reached Amy's usual corner, Jake stopped the taxi but did not look at her. Jake, my father is going to betray humanity to the Zephyrians. He is. Get out, Jake said. What? Get out of my taxi. Go back to your rich life and leave. Me alone. Amy opened the door slowly. Jake, I know you are angry, but people are going to die if we do not stop my father. Find someone else to help you. Find someone who is not a poor, stupid taxi driver. I never thought you were stupid, Amy said quietly. I thought you were the smartest, bravest, kindest man I had ever met. I still think that. Jake finally looked at her. Even with tears on her face, she was beautiful. But he could not forget that everything between them had been built on lies. Goodbye, Amy Carter, he said. Amy stood on the sidewalk as Jake flew away. He watched her in his mirror until she disappeared. For the next 3 days, Jake tried to forget about Amy. He drove his taxi, visited Lisa in the hospital, and tried to go back to his normal life. But he could not stop thinking about what Amy had said. What did she mean about her father betraying humanity? On the 4th day, Jake was eating breakfast when the news came on. The reporter looked excited. This is breaking news. Richard Carter, head of Carter Industries, will make an important announcement today about Earth's future relationship with off-world governments. Jake put down his coffee. Off-world governments usually meant alien species. The news showed Richard Carter standing behind a podium. He was a tall man with gray hair and cold eyes. He looked like someone who was used to getting whatever he wanted. People of Earth, Carter said. For too long we have lived in fear of alien attacks. The Zephyrian Empire has offered us a chance for peace. If we accept their protection, there will be no more war, no more raids on our colonies. Jake felt a cold feeling in his stomach. In exchange for this peace, Carter continued, Earth will become part of the Zephyrian Empire. We will follow their laws and their leadership. Some people will call this surrender, but I call it wisdom. We cannot win a war against the Zephyrians. It is better to join them and live in peace. The reporter came back on screen. Carter Industries stock has jumped 20% since the announcement. Many business leaders support Carter's peace plan. Jake turned off the news. He sat in his apartment thinking about Amy's words. Her father was going to betray humanity to the Zephyrians. Jake had thought she was lying or exaggerating, but now he wondered if she had been telling the truth. His radio beeped. Someone wanted a taxi. Jake's taxi service. Jake, this is Amy. Please do not hang up. Jake almost turned off the radio, but something stopped him. Did you see the news? Amy asked. Yes. My father is not just making a deal with the Zephyrians. He is giving them our defense codes, our military secrets, everything. In 3 days, Zephyrian ships will surround Earth. They will not come as protectors. They will come as conquerors. Jake felt his blood turn cold. How do you know this? I heard him talking to their commanders. Jake, they plan to enslave humanity. Anyone who resists will be killed. My father thinks he will rule Earth under their protection, but he is wrong. Once they have what they want, they will not need him, either. Jake was quiet for a long moment. Why are you telling me this? Because you were right about humans never giving up. Because your friends in the military need to know what is coming. And because even though you hate me now, I know you will not let innocent people die if you can stop it. Jake closed his eyes. He was still angry at Amy for lying to him. But if what she said was true, his feelings did not matter. Earth was in danger. Amy, if I help you, I need to know everything. No more lies. No more lies, Amy promised. Jake, will you meet me? There is something I need to show you, something that proves what I am saying. Jake looked out his window, at the city below. Millions of people lived here. People who had no idea their world was about to change forever. People like his sister Lisa, who was finally getting better. Where do you want to meet? He asked. Jake met Amy at an old warehouse in the industrial part of the city. It was the kind of place where no one would look for the daughter of Richard Carter. Amy was waiting for him when he arrived, but she was not alone. A tall woman in military uniform stood beside her. Jake, this is Colonel Lisa Hayes, Amy said. She commands the Earth Defense Force Intelligence Division. Jake recognized the name. Colonel Hayes had been his commanding officer years ago, before he left the military. She was tough, smart, and completely loyal to humanity. Hello, Jake, Colonel Hayes said. Amy told me you might not believe what she has to say, so I brought proof. Colonel Hayes activated a small device, and a holographic image appeared in the air. It showed the inside of what looked like Richard Carter's office. Carter was sitting at his desk talking to someone Jake could not see. The defense codes will be transmitted tomorrow night, Carter's voice said. Your ships can move into position after that. Earth's military will not be able to resist. A strange voice answered, speaking in broken English. Good. Humans will make useful workers. Those who resist will be eliminated. That will not be necessary, Carter said. I can control the population. They will accept Zephyrian rule if it means peace. The alien voice laughed, a sound like metal scraping metal. Humans are weak. They will serve or die. You too, Carter. Once you are no longer useful. Carter looked nervous. But we have an agreement. We have an agreement until we do not need you anymore. The holographic image disappeared. Jake stared at the spot where it had been. This recording was made 2 days ago, Colonel Hayes said. Amy risked her life to get it for us. Jake looked at Amy with new eyes. You recorded your own father? I had to, Amy said. When I heard him talking about betraying Earth, I knew I had to get proof. I hid recording devices in his office. The Zephyrian fleet is already moving toward Earth, Colonel Hayes said. They will arrive in 48 hours. We need those defense codes to prepare our defenses. What defense codes? Jake asked. Earth's military uses a complex security system, Colonel Hayes explained. If the Zephyrians get those codes, they can shut down our weapons, our communication systems, even our ships. We will be helpless. Jake felt sick. How many people know about this? Not many. Carter has been very careful. Most government officials think this is just a peace treaty. They do not know the Zephyrians plan to enslave humanity. What can we do? Jake asked. Amy stepped forward. The codes are stored in my father's personal computer in his home office. We need to steal them before he can send them to the Zephyrians. We? Jake looked at her. You want me to help you break into your father's house? I need you, Jake. I know the house, but I do not know how to disable security systems or fight guards. You have military training. There will be guards, Colonel Hayes added. Carter has hired private security. They are armed and dangerous. Jake thought about what they were asking him to do. Break into the home of the richest man on Earth. Fight trained guards. Steal military secrets. If they were caught, they would probably be killed. But then he thought about Lisa, getting better in her hospital bed. He thought about all the people in the city below, people who had no idea their freedom was about to be taken away. What happens if we get the codes? Jake asked. We can prepare Earth's defenses, Colonel Hayes said. The Zephyrians think they will find us helpless, but we have been preparing for this possibility. We have new weapons, new ships. If we can keep our defense systems working, we can fight back. And if we fail? Then humanity becomes slaves to the Zephyrian Empire. Jake was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked at Amy. If I do this, I want to know everything. No more secrets between us. No more secrets, Amy promised. Tell me about the house. How many guards? What kind of security? Amy pulled out a tablet and showed Jake a map of her father's mansion. The house has 30 rooms. My father's office is on the 3rd floor in the center of the building. There are usually 6 guards at night, plus electronic sensors and cameras everywhere. How do we get past all that? I still have access to the house. I am Richard Carter's daughter. The guards know me, and my biometric signature is still in the security system. But if your father finds out, he will probably have me killed, Amy said quietly. He loves power more than he loves his own daughter. Jake stared at her. Amy, you do not have to do this. Colonel Hayes and I can find another way. No, Amy said firmly. This is my fault. I should have stopped my father sooner. I knew he was becoming obsessed with power, but I never thought he would betray his own species. Colonel Hayes checked her watch. We need to move tonight. Carter is planning to send the codes tomorrow evening. After that, it will be too late. They spent the next 2 hours planning their mission. Jake would enter the house with Amy, using her access to get past the main security. Colonel Hayes would wait outside with a small team of soldiers, ready to provide backup if things went wrong. Remember, Colonel Hayes said, we need Carter's computer intact. The codes are encrypted and stored on his personal system. We cannot just copy them. We need the whole computer. As the sun went down, Jake and Amy drove toward the Carter mansion in Jake's taxi. The house was enormous, built on top of a hill overlooking the city. It looked more like a fortress than a home. Jake, Amy said as they got closer, I want you to know something. What I felt for you was real. Even though I lied about who I was, my feelings were never fake. Jake looked at her. In the dim light of the taxi, she looked scared but determined. Amy, why did you really start taking rides in my taxi? The truth this time. Amy was quiet for a moment. Because you were the first person who treated me like a human being instead of a bank account. Because when you talked about fighting the Zephyrians, you made me proud to be human. And because I was falling in love with you. Jake felt his heart skip a beat. Amy, I know you probably do not feel the same way anymore. I know I ruined everything by lying to you. But I needed you to know. They parked the taxi a block away from the mansion. Jake could see guards patrolling, the walls and lights scanning the grounds. Are you ready? Amy asked. Jake checked his weapon, an old military pistol he had kept from his soldier days. As ready as I can be. They walked toward the main gate. Amy held her head high, looking every bit like the wealthy daughter she was. The guards recognized her immediately. Miss Carter, one of them said. We were not expecting you tonight. Need to get something from my father's office, Amy said calmly. Family business. Of course, miss. And your friend? My bodyguard, Amy said without hesitation. Father hired him after those threats last week. The guard nodded and waved them through. Jake was amazed at how easily Amy lied when she needed to. They walked through the mansion's huge front doors and into a lobby that was bigger than Jake's entire apartment. The office is upstairs, Amy whispered. Stay close to me and try to look like security. They climbed a grand staircase to the 3rd floor. Jake had never been inside such a wealthy home. Everything was made of expensive materials. Marble floors, gold decorations, paintings that probably cost more than he made in 10 years. As they reached the 3rd floor, Amy suddenly stopped. She grabbed Jake's arm. Someone is coming, she whispered. Jake heard footsteps echoing down the hallway. Heavy boots moving with purpose, more than one person. This way, Amy said, pulling him toward a side corridor. But it was too late. 3 guards appeared at the other end of the hallway armed with energy rifles. Behind them walked Richard Carter himself. Hello, daughter, Carter said, his voice cold as ice. "I have been waiting for you." Richard Carter stood in the hallway looking at his daughter with cold eyes. He was dressed in an expensive suit, but Jake could see a weapon on his belt. The 3 guards behind him had their energy rifles pointed at Jake and Amy. "Did you really think I would not notice you sneaking around my house?" Carter said to Amy. "I have been watching you for weeks. I know about your little taxi rides with this soldier." "Father, you have to stop this madness," Amy said, stepping forward. "The Zephyrians are going to enslave humanity. They are lying to you." Carter laughed. "Enslave humanity? Amy, you are so naive. The Zephyrians are offering us partnership. Earth will be safe under their protection. They are going to kill you once you give them the defense codes," Jake said. "We heard them talking. You are just a tool to them." "And who are you?" Carter asked, looking at Jake with disgust. "A failed soldier who drives a taxi? You think you understand galactic politics?" "I understand that humans should not bow down to aliens," Jake replied. "I fought the Zephyrians. They respect only strength, not weakness." Carter's face turned red with anger. "You fought them and lost. Earth's military is no match for their technology. The smart choice is to surrender before they destroy us completely." "The smart choice is to fight," Amy said. "Humans have always found ways to beat stronger enemies. That is what makes us special." "Enough," Carter said. He pulled out his weapon and pointed it at Jake. "Guards, take them to the basement. Lock them up until after I send the codes." But before the guards could move, alarms started ringing throughout the mansion. Red lights flashed in the hallways and a computerized voice announced, "Security breach in Sector 7. All units respond." Carter looked confused. "What is happening?" One of the guards spoke into his radio. After a moment, he turned to Carter with a worried expression. "Sir, we have multiple intruders on the grounds. They appear to be military." Jake smiled. Colonel Hayes had arrived with backup. The sounds of fighting came from downstairs. Energy. Weapons firing, people shouting, explosions. Carter's private army was fighting Earth Defense Force soldiers. "Father, it is over," Amy said. "The military knows what you are planning. You cannot stop them all." Carter grabbed Amy's arm roughly. "Maybe not, but I can still complete the mission. The codes are already being transmitted. In 1 hour, the Zephyrian fleet will have everything they need." "Let her go," Jake said, taking a step forward. Carter pointed his weapon at Jake. "Stay back, or I will kill you both." But Amy was not going to let her father win. She pulled a small device from her pocket, the same recording device she had used to spy on him. "Father, this conversation is being broadcast live to every news station on Earth," she said. "Everyone can hear you now." Carter's eyes went wide. "You little..." He raised his weapon to shoot Amy, but Jake was faster. Years of military training took over. Jake dove forward, knocking Carter to the ground. Carter's weapon flew across the hallway. The guards tried to shoot Jake, but Amy grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall and sprayed it at them. The thick white foam blinded them for a moment, giving Jake time to disarm one of them. Jake rolled behind a marble column as energy blasts flew past his head. He had the guard's rifle now, and he used it to keep the other guards pinned down. "Amy, get to your father's office," Jake shouted. "Stop the transmission." "I am not leaving you," Amy shouted back. "Go, I can handle this." Amy looked at Jake with fear in her eyes, but she ran toward her father's office. Carter tried to follow her, but Jake shot at the floor near his feet, forcing him to take cover. The battle downstairs was getting closer. Jake could hear Colonel Hayes' voice shouting orders to her soldiers, but he also heard other voices, alien voices speaking in the Zephyrian language. "The aliens are already here," one of the guards said into his radio. "They came early." Jake felt his blood turn cold. If the Zephyrians were already on Earth, that meant the invasion had begun. Amy's voice came over the mansion's communication system. "Jake, I'm in the office, but the computer is locked. I need my father's password." Carter laughed from behind his cover. "You will never guess it, daughter. The codes will be transmitted in 30 minutes. Jake had an idea. "Amy, try Empire. He wants to rule his own empire." "No," Carter said. "Try Zephyria." Jake called out. Wrong again, Carter said smugly. Jake thought about what he knew of Richard Carter, a man who cared only about money and power, a man who thought he was smarter than everyone else. Amy, try Richard Carter, the number 1. There was silence, for a moment. Then Amy's excited voice came over the speakers. I am in. The computer is unlocked. No, Carter screamed. He stood up from his hiding place and ran toward the office, but Jake tackled him again. Amy, hurry, Jake said as he wrestled with Carter. Delete everything. I am trying, but there are so many files. Jake, some of the codes have already been sent. The sounds of battle were very close now. Jake could hear Colonel Hayes's soldiers fighting their way up the stairs. But he could also hear the strange humming sound of Zephyrian technology. Amy, can you see which codes were sent? Jake asked. Yes, it looks like. Oh no. Jake, they got the orbital defense codes. Earth's satellites are compromised. Through the mansion's windows, Jake could see lights in the sky. Zephyrian ships were approaching Earth, their weapons charging. But they did not get the ground defense codes or the fleet encryption, Amy continued. Jake, Colonel Hayes can still fight back. Colonel Hayes's voice suddenly came over Jake's radio. Jake, we have a problem. Zephyrian forces have landed all over the planet. But Amy's broadcast worked. People everywhere are rising up to fight. What about our military? Jake asked, still holding Carter down. Our space fleet is damaged but not destroyed. The aliens thought they would face no resistance, but humans all over Earth are fighting back. We have a chance, but we need to coordinate our forces. Amy ran back into the hallway carrying her father's computer. I have everything, she said. All his files, all his communications with the Zephyrians. Good, Jake said. Now we need to get this information to the resistance. But as they prepared to leave, a new sound filled the air. It was the roar of spacecraft engines, but these were not Zephyrian ships. Through the windows, Jake could see human fighters rising from hidden bases all around the city. Impossible, Carter said from the floor. Earth's fleet was supposed to be defenseless. Colonel Hayes's voice crackled over the radio. Carter, you fool. Did you really think we would put all our defenses in one place? We have been preparing for this day for years. Hidden bases, secret weapons, backup systems. The Zephyrians expected to find sheep, but they found wolves. Outside, the battle for Earth's skies began. Human fighters engaged Zephyrian cruisers in deadly combat. Energy beams lit up the night sky like deadly fireworks. Amy, Jake said, we need to get out of here. This mansion is going to be a target. Amy nodded, but she looked at her father with sad eyes. Father, it is not too late. Help us fight the Zephyrians, help us save Earth. Carter looked at his daughter with hatred. You have ruined everything. I could have ruled this planet. You could have saved it instead, Amy replied. Jake grabbed Amy's hand. Come on, Colonel Hayes is waiting for us. As they ran through the mansion toward the exit, Jake felt something he had not felt in years. Hope. The Zephyrians had expected to find a weak, divided humanity. Instead, they found a species that never gave up, never stopped fighting, and never stopped protecting each other. The battle for Earth had begun, and humanity was ready to fight. Outside, in the distance, Jake could see more human ships rising from the planet's surface. Amy's broadcast had done more than expose her father's betrayal. It had awakened the fighting spirit in every human on Earth. Jake, Amy said as they reached Colonel Hayes's position, whatever happens next, I want you to know that meeting you changed my life. You showed me what it means to be truly human. Jake looked at Amy, this brave woman who had risked everything to save her species. Amy, you saved Earth tonight. You are a hero. As human and alien ships battled overhead, Jake realized that this was just the beginning. The Zephyrians had made one crucial mistake. They had underestimated humanity's greatest strength. Humans would rather die fighting than live as slaves, and tonight they were going to prove it. 6 months later, Jake stood in the small garage he had bought with his military pension. Sunlight streamed through the windows, lighting up the 3 hover taxis he was repairing. His business was growing faster than he had expected. After the war, Many people wanted to hire veterans like him. The war against the Zephyrians had lasted only 3 weeks, but those 3 weeks changed everything. Amy's broadcast had awakened something in humanity that the aliens never saw coming. All over Earth, humans had risen up to fight. Factory workers had sabotaged alien equipment. Farmers had hidden resistance fighters. Even children had helped by carrying messages between rebel groups. The Zephyrians had expected humans to surrender quickly. Instead, they found themselves fighting the most stubborn, creative, and determined species they had ever encountered. Human tactics confused them. Human weapons hurt them. Human spirit broke their will to fight. When other alien species heard that the mighty Zephyrian Empire had been defeated by humans, they started asking questions. Soon, delegations from peaceful alien worlds came to Earth, wanting to learn about human military tactics and human determination. Earth was no longer seen as a weak planet to be conquered. Now it was respected as the world that had turned an invasion into a recruitment drive. Jake heard footsteps behind him and turned to see Amy walking into the garage. She wore simple work clothes, coveralls, and boots, and her hands were dirty from working on engines. She looked happier than he had ever seen her. "How is the new taxi coming along?" Amy asked, looking at the vehicle Jake was repairing. "Almost finished. By next week, we will have 4 taxis running." Jake wiped his hands on a cloth. "I still cannot believe you want to work in a garage instead of living in a mansion." Amy smiled. "My father's mansion was sold to pay for war repairs. All his money went to helping rebuild the cities that were damaged in the fighting. I would rather be here anyway." After Richard Carter was arrested for treason, his entire fortune had been taken by the government. Amy could have fought to keep some of it, but she chose not to. She said she wanted to start over, to build a life based on what she could do, with her own hands, not her father's money. "Besides," Amy continued, "I like fixing things, and I like working with you." Jake and Amy had spent the months after the war getting to know each other again, this time with no lies between them. Jake had learned that Amy was incredibly smart about technology and business. Amy had learned that Jake was gentle and funny when he was not worried about money or fighting aliens. "Jake, I have news," Amy said, looking excited. "Colonel Hayes called this morning. She wants to offer you a position in the new Galactic Defense Force." Jake raised an eyebrow. "What kind of position?" "Commander of Tactical Training. You would teach other species how to fight like humans do. The salary is very good." Jake thought about it for a moment, then shook his head. "I am done being a soldier. I want to stay here and build something peaceful." "Are you sure this is a big opportunity?" "I am sure." Jake looked around his garage, then at Amy. "I have everything I want right here." Amy's smile got even bigger. "Good, because I have more news. The city council approved our proposal. We can expand the garage and start the taxi driver training program." They had planned to teach other veterans how to start their own taxi businesses. Many former soldiers were having trouble finding work after the war. Jake and Amy wanted to help them build new lives. "That is wonderful," Jake said. "How many students can we take in the first class?" 20. And Jake, 3 of them, are aliens. Jake was surprised. Aliens want to learn to drive taxis. They want to learn to work with humans. After seeing what we did in the war, many alien species think humans have something special to teach them. It was true. Alien diplomats and scientists came to Earth every day, wanting to study human culture, human military tactics, and human psychology. They could not understand how a species that seemed so chaotic and unpredictable could be so effective in crisis situations. Jake heard another vehicle approaching and looked outside. His sister Lisa was parking her hover bike in front of the garage. She was 18 now, completely healthy, and studying to become a doctor. She wanted to help people the way doctors had helped her. "Hello, Lisa," Amy called out as Jake's sister entered the garage. "Hi, Amy. Hi, Jake." Lisa looked around at all the work they had been doing. "This place looks great. You two make a good team." Jake and Amy looked at each other and smiled. They did make a good team, both in work and in life. "Lisa, did you hear about the new alien students?" Amy asked. "Yes, Everyone at school is talking about it. Professor Khan says humans are becoming the most popular species in the galaxy. Other aliens want to be our friends now instead of our enemies. It was amazing how much had changed. Before the war, humans had been seen as a minor species, not very important in galactic politics. Now, the Human Defense Alliance included dozens of alien worlds that wanted human protection and human friendship. Jake, Lisa continued, I came to tell you that I got accepted into the medical program at Neo Angeles University. I start next month. Jake felt proud of his sister. She had worked hard to recover from her illness, and even harder to get good grades in school. That is fantastic, Lisa. You are going to be a great doctor. I want to specialize in treating different alien species. With so many aliens coming to Earth now, we need doctors who understand their biology. After Lisa left to meet her friends, Jake and Amy sat on the porch outside the garage, watching the sun set over the city. The sky was full of flying vehicles, human taxis, alien diplomatic ships, cargo haulers carrying goods between worlds. Amy, Jake said, do you ever regret giving up your old life? You could have been one of the richest people on Earth. Amy leaned against Jake's shoulder. Jake, my old life was lonely and empty. I had money but no real friends, no purpose, no one who cared about me for who I really was. Now I have work that matters, friends who trust me, and what? And you. Amy looked up at Jake with those green eyes that had captivated him from the first day. Jake Miller, you saved my life in more ways than one. Jake put his arm around Amy. We saved each other. In the distance, they could see a group of human and alien children playing together in a park. The alien children were teaching the human children games from their home worlds. The human children were teaching the aliens how to play baseball. Amy, do you think we will get married someday? Jake asked. Amy was quiet for a moment, then smiled. Are you asking me? Jake laughed. I am asking if you would want to marry a former soldier who owns a small garage and drives a taxi. I would want to marry the man who stopped to help a stranger when no one else would. The man who risked his life to save his planet. The man who taught me what it means to be brave and kind and human. Jake kissed Amy gently. Then yes, I am asking. And yes, I am saying yes. As the stars came out above Neo Angeles, Jake thought about how strange life could be. A year ago, he had been a struggling taxi driver with a sick sister and no hope for the future. Now he had a successful business, a healthy sister, and was engaged to the most amazing woman he had ever met. But most importantly, he lived in a galaxy where humans were respected and admired. Earth had become a beacon of hope for other species, who wanted to learn about courage, determination, and the refusal to give up. The Zephyrians had thought they were conquering a weak planet. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. Humanity had not only saved itself, it had become the leader of a new galactic alliance based on freedom and cooperation instead of fear and domination. Jake looked at Amy, who was now designing plans for their expanded garage on her tablet. Tomorrow they would start building their future together, and in a few years their children would grow up in a galaxy where being human was something to be proud of. The taxi driver who had stopped to help a fainted girl on a sky bridge had no idea he was starting a chain of events that would change the galaxy forever. But then again, that was the most human thing of all, doing the right thing without expecting any reward, and sometimes the universe rewarded that kindness in ways no one could imagine.